Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
A modern witch's spoken word grimoire.
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense
Your cauldron and your crystals
and join us
as we get
back on the broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. I'm Layla, and on this episode, we'll be discussing 5 things that we wish we knew when we started witchcraft.
And I'm Shell, and honestly, I probably could have had more than 5 things, but we don't have days. So I think that with a lot of folks coming to witchcraft, turning to witchcraft, it is a good time to kind of talk about what is important and maybe what should we have or have not focused on when we were new and starting out.
Between the two of us, we have several decades worth of experience. And sometimes there's things that you just don't know when you're first starting out, that you have to actually try once or twice before you know.
Oh my God. So I don't know why you just had to say that and make us sound all old, but we have like
Radio edit.
5 years between us.
Yeah, I wasn't going to put that number on it, and I probably still won't.
Okay, maybe I'm the jerk. Okay.
But no, I'm talking about those lessons that you can only get by jumping in and getting your hands dirty and maybe setting off at least one smoke alarm.
Just one?
Yeah, hopefully just one. Before we get into the 5 things that we wish we knew when we started witchcraft, do you have a tarot deck to talk about, Shell?
Okay. You would not believe me if you weren't there. I'm going to start off with that, okay?
Oh, all right. I'm intrigued already. What happened?
I came and visited you.
Oh, shit. I know what I know that. Okay, tell the people. This is a great story. No, you're not going to believe it. You're not going to believe it.
Like I said, if you weren't there, you'd call me a liar.
No, because we know you, Shell. I'm going to say right now that you're going to guess the ending before it happens. So anyway, okay. Tell the story. Tell the people the story of the wonderful thing that you did this last weekend.
So I go to Layla's house. I'm hanging,
Which is witchy enough as it is.
right? I go partake in a fabulous evening with the Crystal City Circle. Hi, guys. I miss you already, and it hasn't even been a week. And this wonderful person in the group, Matt, shout out to Matt, by the way, comes waltzing in, and he says, I have a tarot deck, and I am going to do a drawing to give it away tonight. Layla, when was the last time you saw me run that fast?
I don't know if I've ever seen you run that fast if you weren't being chased by a creature in the woods.
So I run in flip-flops over, write my name down on a little slip of paper,
She was literally the first person to write her name down.
like you don't even know. So I write my name down, put it in the little bucket, and then I have to wait patiently. I have to sit through a ritual, chit-chatting, feast afterwards, and the whole time I'm like, okay, when is he going to give me my deck? Because that was my mindset from the get-go. I'm like, that is mine. I am leaving with that damn thing.
At the end of the feast, Matt stood up and said that it was time to do the drawing. Shell, for the second time that I have ever seen her, jumped up so fast and ran over and stood next to him that it was like a blur. It was like literally a blur. She said, okay, draw the deck for me. It's my deck. You're going to draw my name.
I appreciate the fact that you just left it at I ran over to him because I was practically crawling on the guy, telling him, demanding that he pull my name. Demanding. It wasn't even
He
an ask.
then stirred up the bowl of names and without
Stir,
looking,
stir, stir.
drew a name and laughingly, yes, you've all guessed it. I know you've all guessed it. Whose name did he pick,
I got
Shell?
the deck. I got the deck.
She
So,
did indeed.
dude, this one, top notch. So
It's a very cool deck.
it is called The Mira Visions by James Eads. And the opening cover says, within this box, a mirage awaits as guidance through your many states. Each card in this deck, not one but two, revealing mirrored meanings for another view. The fool and the death become fated pair, and the magician fades as the crow soars through the air. Well, if you're opening a tarot deck that's starting off with that, you already got me.
Now the colors are dark. They're gorgeous. They're deep and rich. And the interesting thing about this deck is the cards are holograms. You know those stickers you used to get as a kid where when you look at it one way, it's one picture, and then when you tilt it and the light hits it slightly differently, the picture's
It's another
completely different?
picture.
Exactly. That's what these tarot cards do. And so each image is designed to complement the other one and give richer and deeper meaning to it.
It's almost like 78 cards, but double.
156?
Yeah, 156 images. I have actually done a couple pulls on this, and I'll give you my take. If you look at them upside down, you see the one view, and if you look at them right side up, you see the other view. If I pulled it and it was reversed on the lighting, I would see it one way, but if it's straight up on the lighting, I would see the other one. So I was kind of thinking in my mind that one would be like almost like the reversal. I don't think it's supposed to be that way, but in my mind, that's how I was using them. I'm gonna have to work with it more. Gorgeous, visually gorgeous.
And it's very striking how it changes. It doesn't look cheesy. It looks very interesting. And I think it gives kind of a richness to the deck. We'll have to post a picture so you can see how pretty it really is.
This would be something I would totally love to use this for special occasion readings. This would be good for like maybe a birthday reading or something. But because of the hologram material, I wouldn't want to use these on the daily and be shuffling them on it would definitely, I think, compromise the photo if you used them on the regular.
Special occasion deck.
So we're going to pull a card. Okay, we actually pulled the Seven of Birds, which equates to wands. So we pulled the Seven of Wands, and in one view, it is spirals above a snowy mountain, and in another view, it is a snowy scene with a man with his seven wands working them.
Oh, very cool. I wonder if we can get a picture of both of those images and we can put those up and see what the listeners think.
I will do my best. I'll see what I can do.
That's pretty cool. All right. So now that we've taken a look at tarot, which, honestly, one of the things I wish I knew when I started witchcraft was how many tarot decks I would, maybe not as many as you, but how many tarot decks and how many things I was going to get.
Well, yeah, yeah. You don't need all the things, people, but you do need all the tarot decks. Now, we didn't talk about this prior, so you don't know my list and I don't know your
That's
list,
right.
which can be a lot of fun sometimes. But if we end up having the same type of topic, I will be interested to see what our views are on it. So I want you to go first, Layla.
The very first thing that I wish I knew when I started is going to be kind of boring, but I really wish I knew how important grounding was. Both versions of
Ooh,
grounding.
that's a good one.
Yeah, and I'm talking about the grounding where when you're getting ready to do a spell and you connect yourself to the energies around you, the energies of the earth, the universe, the magic in the very air around you, in the tools that you're using, and you connect yourself, you ground yourself to those energies so that you can wield those in your working. And also the grounding at the end of your spell, where you're again connecting to the earth more to come into an equilibrium, a balance, to return to a stasis, to return to just a good balance within yourself by shedding any extra energy that you have from the working back into the earth to be recycled, or pulling extra from the earth if you've depleted your energy. Because, I know I've done it a million times, especially when I was a witchling, where I overextended myself and I'd end up with a headache or sometimes what we would call a magical hangover.
I would totally agree, especially with the second part. Everybody remembers to kind of get yourself in that space, but forgets to get yourself back out of that space. And, like you said, headaches, nausea, tiredness, that can affect you for days. And it ain't fun.
No, no, it definitely isn't. And it's funny how you don't think that it can. You're like, oh, I'm just doing a spell, or I'm just thinking, or I'm just meditating. But think about maybe some time in your life when you've had to take a test for school, like a big test. And just taking that test left you feeling drained and headachy and cranky. You are using energy, you're depleting blood sugar, you are using brain power when you do that. Or maybe you've got a presentation at work, and just the psychic energy of standing up in front of those people can leave you feeling battered or drained or even very sensitive immediately after, or even up to days afterwards, depending on how well you're able to come back to an equilibrium. So learning to balance those energies both before and after working, I wish I had known that earlier.
Whether it be like psychic work, spiritual work, whatever the case may be, that can drain you as much as an hour at the gym.
Absolutely.
Truly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially as you're learning, it's just like a muscle. I love your gym analogy because it's as you're practicing, as you're learning, it is like a muscle. At first, you're just going to be able to meditate a little bit, or you might be able to just move a little bit of energy. But as you practice, this is a witchcraft practice. As you practice, you'll get better and you'll be able to move more for longer, more sustained energy movings, and you will get tired. It's like working a muscle.
Exactly.
So, what's your first one, Shell?
My first one, I don't need to know and study and learn all the things right this moment.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yes. For my brain, that's a good one. That's a good lesson.
And, I don't know if you remember this far back, but like I felt like I needed to know correspondences. I needed to know altar tools. I needed to know every form of divination. I need to know every candle color meaning, every herb. Like I felt like I needed to know all the things right now. And if I didn't, I was failing
I think I was constantly writing things in my book of shadows. And I felt like if I didn't write it down, if I didn't write down every little note, every
everything.
correspondence, like you said, I was failing at being a witch.
Yeah, so I think if I could go back to my 18-year-old self, I would be like, you don't need to know all of the things right this damn minute. And here we are, 30, 35 years on, and I still don't know all the things. And I think that's a good thing because part of witchcraft is you are forever learning. There
Yeah.
is no, you know it all now.
No, no, there's so much to learn and so much to experience and get used to not knowing everything, get used to learning and immersing yourselves in things.
And learn to pick and choose.
Yeah.
Do I want to do divination? If so, what? Do I want to dive into Egyptian mythos or Celtic mythos? Like, pick a few things and roll with it. You don't need to know all the things about everything right now.
Yeah. And give yourself permission to just look at one part of it. It can be very
Right,
overwhelming. Maybe you want to spend this year in a day cycle learning about the year in a day cycle, learning about the
right.
wheel of the year. That's okay. I mean, you will learn a lot along the way. So it's okay to pick one thing that you're interested in and go with that.
And I feel that you will become more adept at things easier and quicker by focusing on one thing. Because when you're focusing on all the things aren't getting your attention. And that was a big issue with me in the beginning with things like, candles and correspondence type stuff, because I was just overwhelming my brain. I was
Yeah.
24/7 trying to soak it all in because I felt like I had a stopwatch on me.
That goes really well into my second thing, which is do the damn spell already.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wish I had known that it was okay to just jump in and do it. Yes, it's fine to write your own spell. It's actually preferred. Yes, it's okay to use what you have on hand. Yes, it's okay to rewrite that spell to make it more you. Just do the damn spell.
It's also okay to just do one out of a book. Just freaking
Yeah.
do it. Just
Just
do
do
it.
it. That's right. Just do it. If you find one that looks like it's going to work, you've researched it, it feels like it's going to work, it resonates with you, just do it. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to do it wrong. Do it. There's no better teacher than experience in this craft.
You know why they call witchcraft a practice?
Why?
Because you are freaking forever practicing, man.
No way.
Way.
I absolutely agree. Read all the things, do all the things, but get dirty, do it. Do the spell, see what works and doesn't work. It's important to try it. So don't be afraid to do it and do it wrong. Don't be afraid to fail. I wish I had known that it was okay to get messy, that it's actually okay to do that spell and have it not work. Pure intention is good. Like if I'm doing this spell to get a promotion at work and I use the wrong stone and I use some weird herbs and I'm not fully into it and it fails. Like maybe I actually get written up at work instead of getting a raise.
I would call that an intentions issue more than a materials issue.
Could be. Maybe I should have focused on what I wanted better. Maybe I should have paid attention more to the mundane things and relied more on being better at work than spellcraft. I don't
And
know.
again, that's why witchcraft is a practice because
That's
sometimes
right.
it's trial and error. I mean, when I was learning to do the loose incense and learning herbalism, a lot of it's trial and error. Just do it. Just freaking do it. Just do it. The only
Just,
way you're going to fail is not doing it.
yeah. What's that? What did Michael Jordan said? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right.
Same
Right.
is true in witchcraft. Just do it. Just try. Do some of the witchling magic first, but just do it.
Now, my second one. It pains me to say this, and any listener who saw me working in my store in Salem is going to be like, yeah, that is totally not Shell's personality. But I didn't need to buy all of the things, even though they were pretty. So not only do you not need to know all the things right now, you don't need to buy all the things right now. And that goes against every fiber of my being, but you don't need to buy all the things.
My number three thing is I didn't know how much storage space I would need.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Like I just need storage just for tarot, man.
Yeah. I mean, no, you don't need all the things, and I completely agree, but there's some things I do need all of. Like, I do need all the books.
Okay, let me rephrase this. You don't need all of the things. You
But you will
want all of the
somehow collect
things.
all of the things. Yeah. We are huge proponents. Your aunties don't want you to spend a lot of money unless you want to. Treat yourself, yes. But if what you've got is cinnamon from your kitchen and some lavender from your yard, then that's what we'll work with today. No problem. We got you. You don't need to spend a lot, but somehow you will end up needing a lot of storage space.
If it sparkles, I have a hard time walking away.
Seriously. You have a statue fetish. You like your statues.
I only have like six. Back off.
Only six. Okay.
Hey, better than like 270 some tarot decks.
Oh, is that all you have right now?
I think I need to add some to my spreadsheet.
That's
But
nice.
like stones, I don't need all of the stones. I want all of the stones. But like I have a bowl of like 75 stones. The fuck am I doing? Bet your ass. I'll buy another one,
They're nice to have,
but not
not necessary.
necessary. Like, could I do what I need to do without all of the things? Yeah, absolutely. But do I like having all the
Yeah.
things? I like having all the things. I don't need them, but I like them.
All you need is a clear quartz. We've said before, it's the Swiss Army knife of crystals.
Uh-huh.
And just like rosemary, rosemary is the Swiss Army knife of herbs. A white candle is also universally used. A black candle can be universally used. Olive oil can be a universal oil. Water can be used for just about any blessing or anointing that you need. So you don't need much. You can use birthday candles. Oh my gosh. If you've got, okay, everybody knows somebody that has birthday candles that were burned for all of what, a few seconds while you sang happy birthday and then blown out. Those have so much good energy in them. They have good energy from everyone singing happy birthday. They have energy from the wish of the birthday person blowing them out. So now you've got this fantastic candle that is already imbued with good energy that didn't cost you anything. It's actually reusing something. And you can use that as a very quick burning candle for a short spell.
I've actually done that. Obviously, as you know, my kids were born in October and January, and I would get one set of candles, use it for one, use it for the other, use the rest for ritual. Hey, waste not, want not.
That's right. You and I both, our birth number is 4. And I have used for my kids, sometimes it's nicer to get the number candles than to get
Uh-huh.
14 little individual
Right, right,
candles or
right,
whatever.
right.
So I have a handful of candles that are numbers, and those are
Ooh.
great for spells to use with numerology.
Uh, numbers. Numbers, numbers.
Right. So I've used a number four candle from my kid's birthday, again, imbued with that really good energy as the basis of spells before.
Now, because I technically stole your number three,
Well, we just shared the same number three.
I am going to give you my number three.
Okay.
And I mean this in the most loving way possible. Not every author has the best of intentions, knowledge, or training. Just because they have a published book doesn't make them all knowing.
Ooh, yes, that's true. You should always vet your sources. Always vet your sources. Yeah, I
I would
agree.
say the same thing about the internet.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just
Podcast,
wasn't a thing
YouTube,
back.
TikTok, all of it. Vet your sources.
Even people with the best of intentions can sometimes give bad, wrong, misleading information. So
Exactly.
ask around. Like you said, vet your sources because just because someone has a book doesn't mean they're all knowing.
And there are so many books, so many published authors, so many papers. There's a million and one people on the internet and in the world right now that are easily accessible that do have the information that you're looking for. So I guess the proliferation of bad information is right there alongside the proliferation of good information. It does mean you'll have to do a bunch of research, but that's part of the fun of it.
Now, for new and upcoming witches in this day and age, and again, in the late 80s, early 90s, it was a whole different ball game. But now you actually also have to be conscious of, was that book even written by a human?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is true.
So you really have to kind of look into who you're relying on for information. Is it accurate and is it even a person? Which is just so whack to me. But here we are in an AI world, and I think the pagan community is getting hit rather hard as far as AI creeping up with some weird books and shit. So you just got to check it out, check your sources.
Yeah. We've mentioned before about counterfeit tarot decks. There's also AI tarot decks. And if that's your thing, that exists, but be sure you know what you're getting. If something is said to be human created and it's actually AI, that's not cool.
That is deception.
If it is an AI created deck and it resonates with you and they state that it's AI, that's entirely up to you and your moral
As
system.
long as you're going into it eyes wide open.
Exactly. But now, not only do we have to worry about people lying about AI tarot decks, now we have to worry about AI books and things that are written by AI that people aren't even checking over. They're not vetting.
Uh-uh.
It's causing a lot of problems. Vet your sources.
Yeah,
There's good
truly,
and bad
truly.
everywhere. So you really have to not just use your intuition, but critical thinking skills and research skills are becoming even more important than they ever have been.
Absolutely. Preach it, sister.
This kind of goes along again. My fourth thing that I wish I knew when I first started witchcraft is that learning is really important, but so is unlearning. And in some ways, I think unlearning what I've known or what we've known is more important. The baggage that we come with from whatever religion that we have left, or maybe whatever upbringing ideas that we have left, there's a lot that we have to kind of get through. And I think it's important to understand that, especially when I was new, I grasped onto these ideas and I thought they were the be all and end all. I thought this was the way it was. And it took a while, I think, to unlearn some of the things that I had known.
I mean, I think you can really say that about any aspect of your life. Obviously, we're honing in on spirituality, but you do need to kind of take that time to kind of pivot. I think a lot of us kind of really had a whole lifestyle change coming into this. I mean, I know I did. And you do have to kind of check yourself, for lack of a better way to say it. Where do I really stand on this? How do I really feel about that? So I would kind of define it more as like you got to check yourself. Is what's coming out your mouth aligning with what you say your morals are?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. For me, a lot of it was I learned, okay, take the rule of three. Take the idea of what you put out into the world comes back to you threefold. That resonated with me. And so I kind of accepted it at face value. So it took a long time for me to realize that a lot of that came from the Christian idea of the golden rule and actually from a place of privilege because in the real world, and even energetically, things don't always play out like that. There are other forces at play, I guess. There is no what you do comes back to you perfectly. Good people have bad things happen to them, and bad people don't always get punished. And it took some life learning to kind of understand that and kind of unlearn this idea of, oh, what goes around comes around because it doesn't really.
And kind of along the same thought, my background, especially in the house I was raised, was kind of, do whatever, just say you're sorry for it, and then it's okay. If you go and repent to the priest during confession, somehow it's all good after that.
Hmm.
And then getting the mindset of the rule of three or karmic retribution, it was like, wait, no, what you put out is what you get, one way or another, whether it's threefold, tenfold, whatever you want to believe. But the energy you put out is the energy that comes back to you, good, bad, or indifferent. How do you want to play?
But you don't always see that play out in real time. You're not going to see that.
But
And
over time, you can.
I hope so, but you see bad people all the time do bad things and nothing happens to them. And you see
Yeah,
good people do good things and they don't get rewarded and bad shit happens to them. They still get cancer. And I think for me, some of it was like unlearning some Christian ideas, I guess, which goes along with like good people will always get rewarded. If you do good in this life, you're going to get good in the afterlife. And I don't necessarily think I believe that. And real life doesn't seem to prove that out. And it just that feels like spiritual bypassing. Feels like the idea that love and light, if you keep doing good things will happen. And I doesn't.
I think it's more about did you learn your lesson? I feel that we're all here for a task. Did your soul learn its lesson, or are we gonna do this again in the next life?
That's definitely part of it. And then I think that's part of maybe why we don't see it here, but I guess we could get into like a much deeper topic on unlearning things that we have learned and trying
That's
to
its own
find out.
episode, I feel
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. But I think that the biggest thing is that I had to unlearn was that not everything is nice in the world, that not
Right.
everything is love and light.
True, true.
And it shouldn't be. Anger can be useful, it can be powerful, it can be motivational. Grief can bring you wisdom and enlightenment. Sometimes these difficult things, these traumatic things, they're just as important part of your life, of your magical life. And you don't need to just be love and light and fluffy bunny all the time. There's time and place for everything. Even the storm is important. Even the wildfire is important. The bright, sunny, beautiful days aren't the only part of nature because it's all balance.
Good or bad, there's always a lesson, is kind of the way I look at it. What's the lesson in the storm?
Right.
But there can be lessons in the sun too, you know?
Exactly.
I think accountability is a big thing. And I think with witchcraft comes an awakening of accountability.
I would hope so.
When I look at how I viewed the world pre-witchcraft and how I viewed the world after coming into witchcraft, vastly different, vastly different. And I think that you just need to, like what I said before, a lot of it is just kind of checking yourself. Who am
Yeah.
I? Only you can answer that. Who are you? At your core, who are you?
That's a really good point because there isn't this spiritual boomerang that's going to automatically give you good things if you're good and give you bad things if you're bad. But at the end of the day, it's still you, right? And you still have to find that balance. You still
Yeah.
have to be able to look yourself in the eye and say, I put good things out into the world today. I helped today. I tried to tip the scales for better
Well,
things.
like we've talked about before, I believe like attracts like. If you put out shit, you're going to get shit. If you put out good, hopefully you get that back.
And I believe that too, but I also believe that the universe is chaotic and unfair. and that sometimes even the nicest people get shit, and that sometimes even the shittiest people never get justice. And I think that part of dealing with that magic, part of dealing with that is dealing with the messiness of it, that it's not always as neat as we want it to be, that sometimes life is going to be messy like that. It's not going to be balanced or fair. We can strive for that as much as we want to, but it's not going to be love and light, balanced and fair all the time. And finding our way through that, navigating our way through that in the magical and the mundane, I think is part of that craft.
Okay, before we make that its own episode,
Yes, let's move on.
I'm cutting you off and going to my number four. Now, for me, back in my day, it is okay to not be like the book. Now, for today's witches, I will say it is okay to not be like the book, the video.
It's okay to not be like the TikTok.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to be like us. You be you.
Be your own witch.
I've talked 1,000 times about how, the first book I ever read, Power of the Witch, Laurie Cabot, greatest book on the planet, truly. But like, I think initially I felt like I needed to be exactly like Laurie Cabot or I wasn't being a witch. And then other people popped up. Mary K. Greer. If I don't read tarot like Mary K. Greer, I'm a freaking loser and have no business reading tarot. I felt like I had to be just like these people or I wouldn't, I don't know, succeed, have the same ability, whatever the case may be. And again, like I said, nowadays, you got the TikTok, you got the Facebook. Half that shit ain't real. Like these people spend like 8 hours staging an area for a 30-second video. People think they need to live up to some sort of expectation that they don't. And it's okay to not be like the book or the video or whatever.
Be your own witch.
Be your own witch. Yep.
Do what
Yep.
feels right to you and with what you have on hand.
If you're not authentic, you're wasting your time.
If a spell calls for a giant double terminated Herkimer diamond,
You don't even want to know where I was going in my mind with everything that you were saying.
different podcast.
Different podcast, different rating.
I forgot where I was going now.
Big chunk of Herbicor Diamond.
It calls for some big chunk of Herkimer or diamond or something like that, and you can't substitute it with something else, then that's a bad spell. I don't know where I was going. You totally derailed my brain.
Well, it goes back to intention. If it calls for an adventuring and all I have is a rose quartz, if my intentions are that that rose quartz is going to do what the hell I ask it to, then that is going to be how it is because that's my intention.
As an animist, I feel that the rose quartz and the aventurine would have two very different energies. However, I feel like, say I'm using the aventurine for a success spell. I'm going to have an interview coming up and I want to put the aventurine in my pocket while I'm doing the interview to help me have success and to move forward and to get this lucky, this green, this money, this success, right? But I don't have one. I have a rose quartz. I would ask the rose quartz and say, hey, rose quartz, help me with this interview. Give me the self-possession, the self-love, the self-confidence, the ability to project likability, trustability. Help me in this interview in the ways that work best with your energy. And that rose quartz will absolutely come through for you for those energies that will help you with your interview, even though it's not technically a money success crystal.
I have the greatest analogy on the planet.
What's that?
We all know that I'm kind of more on the Amazon woman side, and you're kind of on the very short side.
Yes, I'm on the forest pixie side.
Exactly. And I'm an Amazon woman. That'd be like me asking you to fill in for me on the basketball team. I know you're short, but you got to at least be able to run through people's legs. Can you cover for me? Like, I know it's not your thing, but I'm in a pinch. You'd be like, I guess, don't know how it's going to go, but yeah. And I'll be like, you're going to be great. And in your mind, I will have pumped you up so you think you're great. And you're going to go out there and run between people's legs and steal balls. And you might not
Right.
be able to dunk like me,
I might not be able to dunk, but I can dribble really well
Right.
and dodge. So I'm
Right.
going to do what I can do in your stead, even though I'm not doing it exactly the way you would do it.
Right. And that is
Yeah.
exactly how substitutions work.
I love your analogy.
I come up with the weirdest
It's
analogies, truly.
it's perfect. I totally understood what you're saying, so I love it.
It's a gift. So, my very last one, that I am ultimately the one who makes up my list of correspondences, not a book, an author, a website, a whatever. You might tell me that pine is for money and luck and fortune, but every time I work with pine, maybe I feel warmth and hearth and home and family and compassion and love. And you keep saying, no, Shell, it's this. And I'm like, but Layla, this is what I feel when I work with it. Who's right? In my opinion, me, because when I work with something, how I feel when I'm working with it is my correspondence, which may not align with a book or a website or whatever.
I wish when I was first starting out that I had our episode on correspondences to
Right?
to reference because we talk about that exact thing. You should go with your feeling first and you should definitely journal all of it because when you're looking at correspondences, you have to go with your gut feeling first because that's going to influence your magic and your spellcraft much more than an ancient reference that doesn't make sense to you.
Now, I'm going to say something, and you can't tell anybody. This is just a secret between you and I,
And all of our listeners.
because I can never admit this to the free world, but it hurts to say it, but you are absolutely correct. And in this particular instance, journaling is key. Oh my God, the words hurt coming out of my mouth, by the way. But when I first started this journey, one of the things I dove in head first was herbalism. I can make the best incense on the planet, but the correspondences didn't always feel right to me. And I have a whole book of shadows just on what I think herbs correspondences are and what I think oils and colors and candles, because I just wasn't jiving with. I mean, there's some where I was like, oh yeah, exactly. But there were things where I'm like, yeah, I don't feel that from this herb or color or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, when it comes to this particular instance, I am not agreeing full broad. But in this instance, journaling is key. Don't tell anybody I said that.
I will not tell a soul beyond our listeners. So, what we recommend that you do is feel what you feel with each thing and write it down.
Yep.
Research what its traditional meanings are, research what its uses are, write all those down. Research any stories about it, any folklore, any folk tales, any old wives' tales on how it's used or shouldn't be used. Write all of those down.
Or if you have an experience from when you were younger or a child, how they make you feel, what was associated with the memory of that thing. Like I used to pick strawberries with my grandma, so I have certain memories associated with strawberries and have used strawberry leaf in certain things based on those memories.
And that's going to very much inform your spell work. That won't work so much if you're going to, say, make teas. Then you need to know a little bit more about what's involved with it medicinally and chemically. Obviously, yeah. But
Yeah.
as far as spell work goes, your best bet is go with what your gut feels. The doctrine of signatures talks about things looking like and feeling like, smelling like, tasting like what they do magically. That's going to really get your brain in gear. And your subconscious, your magical brain is what you want to engage when you're working with items in your spellcraft. So, first thing, just like exactly what Shell said, go with what your gut says, your brain says, your personal history says for each of these things.
Because your experience isn't going to be the same as my experience or Layla's experience or whoever.
And culture is going to inform that as well. I think one of the examples that we used was like, say, the color white. In
Hmm.
America, in the United States, white is for, I think Christians use white for baptisms, right? Like baptismal
Yeah,
gowns
yeah.
and also weddings. It's also a symbol of purity. But in Asian cultures, it's a sign of mourning. They wear white for mourning. So it has two very different meanings depending on your culture. So what someone from America might use white for might be very different than what someone in China might use white for. So
Right.
you have to go with those, list all of those things, what you feel, culture, stories, medicinal, cooking, domestic, all those things. Write them all down. See what resonates with you. See what works for you.
So that's my five, ma'am.
So I have my fifth one, my last one.
Do tell.
I wish I knew when I started witchcraft how freaking much smoke loose incense on a charcoal will produce.
You know, there was a learning curve.
Yeah, and I failed it. So, charcoal, right? Loose incense. When I first started,
You need to break this down, Layla. We need to start with the charcoal because when you light it, it's hard to tell that it's lit
yeah.
until your finger's on fire.
So, my problem, I think, was that I had not so great charcoal. Maybe it was damp. Maybe it just didn't burn
Old.
very well. Maybe it was old. Plus, I didn't know what I was doing. So, I would light it and I wouldn't wait long enough for the charcoal to fully get burning. So, I would pretty much
Um,
light it. I'd see it spark and kind of start, and then I would immediately put my herbs and everything on it.
oh, yeah, you
Then,
can't
when
do
my
that.
spell was done, I would just kind of put it out. And it usually didn't produce very much smoke. It definitely didn't burn all the herbs or anything. And it certainly didn't burn through the charcoal. The very first time I actually had good charcoal, I lit it and then kind of got busy doing other things before I put the herbs on it. I think that whole charcoal was cherry red, and I dumped a
Yeah.
good pile of resins and
Oh,
really
God.
dry herbs on
Oh,
top of it.
all I can think of is smoke detector.
Yeah, not just the one in my apartment, but the whole freaking building. I got the whole building evacuated. Yeah, that was me. If you were living in Boulder, Colorado, yeah.
We won't talk about this around my father, who's a fireman, but you remember I had two small kids. I had babies. So I'm in this journey of herbalism, and that was at a stage where I was, kind of learning to make my own fantastic blends of incense. The kids would go to bed and I'd start mixing stuff and I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna try this, try this. You don't know the hell of it being like 11 o'clock at night. All of a sudden, you got four smoke detectors going
Oh
off.
no.
You got like a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old. Everybody's crying, and nobody would go back to bed. And all I wanted to know is if this smelled good or not. And
Yeah.
then it's 4 hours later, and I'm finally getting two kids back to sleep. So the part we can't tell my father is during some of my journey with loose incense, I actually ended up having to take my batteries out of my smoke detector so that the kids wouldn't
Oh.
get woke up.
Yeah, never a good idea, folks. You should, especially in
Do
your
not
ritual
recommend.
room.
Do not
Yeah.
recommend. But
That's not the only smoke alarm I have set off, but yeah. So I guess in the beginning, I just didn't realize that old charcoal wouldn't burn very well. And that once I did finally get a charcoal to be fully ready, that it was going to produce a crap ton of smoke that I was not ready for.
one other thing I will add is resins, very smoky.
Yes, smells so good, but so, 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 so
Be
smoky.
prepared. Be prepared.
Yeah, definitely be prepared because I was not. So that's something I wish I had known in the beginning. I guess that's part of the you should jump in and make mistakes and get messy that we were talking about earlier in the episode.
But always practice fire safety, folks.
So saith the child of the fire inspector. That's right.
Right?
That's
Always
right.
practice fire safety.
Man, I've heard that my entire witchcraft life with you. But it's good advice. It's good advice. It never gets
But you
old.
know what? You would know how to stop, drop, and roll in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. I definitely would. Practice fire safety, folks. So, on that note, we are going to wrap up this episode and head off and maybe I'm going to roll up some herbs in maybe a smokable cone instead of a red hot charcoal.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually gonna go and partake in a herb that was put in a cone by someone at a store that I bought.
Ooh, well, this is starting to sound like a solarium. So I'm
I
going to
know.
tell all our listeners that coming up here in the next week or so, we will be having a witchy solarium where we talk about a couple books that were sent to us from Red Wheel Wiser, as well as a couple books that we picked up on our own. So, the first solarium of 2026 coming up for you here in just like a week or so.
Oh my God, I want to like pack everything I've got just to get ready. I love it. I love solariums.
We also have an author interview coming up who's got a new book coming out. One of my favorite podcasters, so I'm pretty excited about that one.
And I'll give you another hint about the author, someone I'm all of a sudden new in love with. So Layla's favorite podcast, and I love this person. So
If you are new here, why don't you hop on over to Facebook? In the terribleness that is Facebook is the gem, the jewel, the witchy wonder, a fabulous place created by Helen Jojo called the Back on the Broomstick Podcast Discussion Group.
and we do shout out Helen Jojo a lot, but I can't say it enough. She does a kick-ass job with that group, by the
She
way.
does. And she's a
Kick-ass.
phenomenal witch. Excellent advice. She's always there. She's always got good advice. And that group, she has attracted an amazing, phenomenal, the coolest group of witches, I
I
think.
do have a big warning though for Helen Jojo.
Oh no, what's that?
She made a really big mistake. She invited us to come out to ghost hunt and we might take her up on that this summer.
I just want to say a thank you, a huge shout out and a thank you
To the Coffee House Coven of Greater Cincinnati.
that we are honorary members of. So, to the Coffee House Coven of Greater Cincinnati, we are planning on coming out there, witches. So,
Careful what you wish for, because the witches just might show up.
right. And thank you so much for the gifts, the bags. Everything was wonderful. You guys are fantastic. Thank you to our honorary coven. Thank you so much for listening to Back on the Broomstick. Please like, subscribe, leave us some reviews, some stars. It really helps the show out. And we will see you next week with an interview with one of my favorite podcast witches and one of Shell's new favorite witch obsessions.
I'm in love with her, not gonna lie.
So stay tuned to find out who this mysterious, wonderful, witchy person is on our next episode. Until then, stay wise, stay wicked.
And truly keep it witchy, folks.